me now is Dr. Walter Ladwig, a lecturer in international relations at King's College London. It's good to have you in. Thanks for
Thank you
being
very
with
much.
us. Did he walk or was he pushed?
He was definitely pushed. There have been rumors circulating for quite a while, several months at least, that the White House has been unhappy with his leadership, his failure to provide guidance and real help on the rise of the Islamic State, Ebola outbreak, and so forth. But conversely, Secretary Hagel's had his own complaints, micromanagement from the White House at the start of them, and that's not unique to him. Both of his predecessors also complained about the political interference and the lack of input into the policy process that they had from the Pentagon. So it was, in some respects, an unhappy marriage.
Okay, so where do you think the problem stems from then? Is it perhaps a president who's surrounded by his own inner circle and perhaps unwilling to take advice from the Pentagon? I mean, and the battle between the White House and the Pentagon, that's always been there, and there are always going to be tensions. Or is it a case that Chuck Hagel just didn't have the forceful kind of personality like a Don Rumsfeld or a Dick Cheney to impress himself on the Oval Office?
The latter is certainly true. He was brought in to be a guy to manage the drawdown, to manage the cut in defense spending. But the real issue, you hit the nail right on the head. The White House and the Obama National Security Team has been beat up by many people over the past year for their failure to bring in outside voices, for their insular nature and their insistence on running everything through the White House and the National Security Council, not through the State Department, not through the Pentagon. It's a massive problem.
Who's going to replace him?
Well, there are a couple names that are at the top of everybody's list. Michelle Flournoy is the former Undersecretary of Defense, widely respected on both sides of the aisle, and a woman. Ash Carter was the former number 2 and was actually passed over for the job. But in any respect, whether it's one of those two or someone else, it will be a non-entity. The White House does not want a strong Secretary of Defense. They do not want a personality in that role. They want a technocrat who will execute and implement the policies that they design.
But having said that then, and potentially that's what they wanted from Chuck Hagel, as you say, just someone to sort of bring in the defense cuts and all that kind of stuff. If you have Ebola, if you have the rise of ISIS, someone's got to be telling you that this stuff is happening. If it's not the job of the Defense Secretary to do that, whose job is it then?
Maybe the National Security Advisor, but again,
Okay.
that's someone who was chosen for her political loyalty and her long service, not her ability to manage the bureaucracy.
That all sounds rather bizarre, doesn't it? Okay, so is there someone then, if it isn't the National Security Advisor and it's not the Chuck Hagel person, is there someone in the White House who's saying Ebola's on the way, ISIS is on the way? Is there that kind of figure?
Not a figure who's pointing it out sort of over the horizon that this is something we need to pay attention to. I mean, certainly the political team in the White House, the chief of staff, the people who are concerned with, quite frankly, implementing